Greetings to everyone from Turkey Travel Guide YouTube channel. In this video, we will tell you all the details of Cappadocia. Please forget all the Cappadocia videos you have watched before and sit back. Because in this video, we have included all the fine details such as the importance of Cappadocia, its history, formation, beautiful places to visit, what to eat, how to get there, where to stay, how many days to stay and when to go. In short, this video will be a complete Cappadocia travel guide for you. If you are ready, let's start. You cannot see fairy chimneys, which are seen in several parts of the world, as intensely as in Cappadocia anywhere else. Cappadocia, which entered the new 25 Wonders of the World list published in the Times newspaper as the 5th place, has also been on the UNESCO World Cultural Heritage List since 1985. From the first day you arrive here, you will understand that Cappadocia is a completely different place that promises a world of its own with its nature, history, art, culture, romance and legends. It has such a mystical feeling that it is a unique geography where you can discover yourself as well as many other things. The formation of Cappadocia. Cappadocia is a very characteristic region that was shaped approximately 60 million years ago by the erosion of the ash and soft layer of the volcanic land created by Mount Ursiais, Mount Gulul and Mount Hassan by wind and rain water over millions of years. Although natural conditions formed the basis of this region, the lives lived in the fairy chimneys carved by human hands here constitute the real magical side of Cappadocia. Traces of human life in this region date back to the Paleolithic period. The underground cities, fairy chimneys and caves in the region allow Christians to live in privacy and safety. There are also many churches carved into the rocks and built in underground cities in the region. History of Cappadocia. Since Cappadocia was one of the cities on the Silk Road route, it became one of the places that developed with trade during the Hittite period. In the 12th century BC, the Hittite Empire collapsed. In the 6th century BC, the Persian Empire gave its current name to Cappadocia, meaning the land of beautiful horses. In the 3rd century, Cappadocia became a place where Christians escaping Roman oppression settled, as the natural conditions in the region were suitable for hiding and living secret lives. Again during this period, Arab raids took place in the region. In the 11th and 12th centuries, the influence of the Seljuks was seen. In the Ottoman period, the waters calmed down and the region finally found peace. The last Christians remaining in Cappadocia emigrated from the region after the Treaty of Lausanne. Now we move on to the places to visit in Cappadocia. Cappadocia is basically clustered in 6 settlements: Avanos, Çavuşin, Ürgüp, Göreme, Uçhisar and Ortahisa. We have listed the places to visit in Cappadocia according to their close distances, thinking that you may want to visit places in the same region together while planning your day. And our first route on day 1 is Göreme. Göreme is actually a town connected to the central district of Nevşehir. In other words, it is not a district like Ürgüp and Avanos, but it is one of the places in Nevşehir that promises the most beautiful Cappadocia experiences. You will see that the most densely populated rock hotels and restaurants in the Cappadocia region are gathered in this region. Because Göreme overlooks the valleys where those famous hot air balloons rise in the first light of the morning. It is frequently preferred for accommodation due to its beautiful geography and central location among the places to visit in Cappadocia. And our first route in Göreme is the Love Valley. Among the Cappadocia valleys, one of the most popular, and the one that offers the most beautiful view, is the Love Valley. You may also hear Love Valley as Lover's Valley, Baglader Valley or Lover's Hill. Lover's Hill is actually the name of the hill in the valley that fascinates with its panoramic view and is a viewpoint. My personal advice is to sit on Lover's Hill at sunset and enjoy the magnificent view. The reason why the valley is associated with love is that it has been the scene of many marriage proposals from past to present. Love Valley offers a pleasant track among vineyards and fruit trees that are 5 kilometers long. You can drive to a certain point and then walk. If you are interested in nature walks, you can choose it. It takes about 2.5 hours. If you are not much into walking and want to try a balloon in Cappadocia, you will have the opportunity to explore Love Valley from above. Our second address in Göreme is Göreme Open Air Museum. Göreme Open Air Museum is a valley that hosts different rock formations, but these rock formations are different from the ones in the rest of the region. This region is actually a rock settlement dating back to the 4th century AD, the early Christian periods. Each of the rock blocks in this settlement, which hosted monastic life until the 13th century, has different social areas such as a church, chapel, dining hall, school, living room, and kitchen. The places to visit in Göreme Open Air Museum are as follows: Girls and Boys Monastery, St. Basilius Church, Elmali Church, St. Barbara Chapel, Yılanlı Church, Karanlık Church, Karikli Church, Tokali Church. Our next route is Avanos. Avanos is one of the districts of Nevşehir. Avanos takes its name from Avanos Bey, one of the commanders of the Seljuk army, together with the Seljuk Turks. It also changed into Avanos during the Ottoman period. While traveling in Cappadocia, you will see names like Vanassa and Avranos on many signs. It is enough to know that these names are the old names of Avanos. Our first address in Avanos is Gülvadisi, also known as Gülüder Valley. Gülüder Valley is a place that both nature lovers and landscape lovers should prioritize when it comes to places to visit in Cappadocia. The Valley Gülüder, located between Göreme and Çavuşin, splits into 2 branches and offers a 4 km trekking route. Now let's talk about the view. The fairy chimneys in the valley turn red and rose red with the sunlight. It is a legendary view, especially at sunset. The valley stands out not only with its view and trekking, but also with its churches, monasteries, dovecots and different living spaces carved into the rocks. You can also come for horse tours and to watch the balloons in the early morning. We leave the valley and go to the nearby village of Çavuşin. Çavuşin Village, a village affiliated to Avanos, stands out as one of the oldest settlements in Cappadocia. Although the village offers a dark atmosphere with ruins on one side, it is a very cute place with its locals and places to visit. There are many churches in the area where Christians lived intensively during the Roman period. Among these churches, Çavuşin Church, you see Hakli Kaziz, Aziz Mariam Church, Kalınlı Church, Baptist John Church are the first to come to mind. Apart from the churches, there are many pottery workshops in Çavuşin Village where you can also get a chance to get to know the pottery tradition up close. The most prominent church in Çavuşin, the church center of Cappadocia, is perhaps the Çavuşin Church. Çavuşin Church is located right at the entrance of the village. Of course, don't expect a building, the church is inside a rock formation that looks like a castle. The church, estimated to date back to 964, is among the oldest churches in Cappadocia. In 1985, it was actually included in the World Cultural Heritage List, proving its beauty. Now, we are going up from Çavuşin and our address is Paşabağ Priest's Valley. This valley, known as Paşabağ and Priest's Valley, is also one of the places where you should spend time in Cappadocia. The most important feature of the valley is that it hosts the best examples that reflect the formation phase of the fascinating fairy chimney shape. When it comes to fairy chimneys, you can see the mushroom-hatted figures that come to mind most often here. Another feature of the valley is that it once hosted Christian clergymen who retreated into seclusion. For this reason, it is also known as the Priest's Valley, and there are also many chapels and churches in the valley. One of the most popular is the chapel built in the name of Saint Simeon. We are on the second day and our route is the Zelv Open Air Museum. Zelv Archaeological Site consists of 3 valleys where fairy chimneys are densest. It is also one of the oldest and longest used settlements in Cappadocia. In fact, according to rumors, Christianity first started to spread here. You can come across monasteries, churches, tunnels, mills and different settlements along the valley where settlement continued until 1952. The most important points in the valley are as follows: Balikli, Uzumlu and Gaikli churches dating back to 728, and a chapel built for Saint Simeon. If you want to visit all 3 valleys, in other words the entire Zelv archaeological site, I recommend that you bring your basic needs such as water and be careful about clothing suitable for the weather conditions. Because there are difficult parts such as climbing and passing through tunnels. If you have taken a break and rested for a while, we will go to another valley, Derwent Valley. Are you ready to dream and feel like you are in a completely different land with Derwent Valley, also known as Heil Vidisi or Pem Vidisi? Derwent Valley is a delightful spot that should definitely be included in your Cappadocia places to visit programs. It stands out with its orange and pink-colored rock formations, far from the classic fairy chimney forms among Cappadocia valleys. If you ask what kind of fairy chimneys we will see here, the answer is actually completely hidden in your imagination. There are those who compare the fairy chimneys in the valley to many different objects, from animals to many different objects, in short, to all kinds of objects. The valley does not have a specific entrance or exit. It has a U-shaped structure with one end extending to Derwent and the other to Kazilker. The hiking trail is not very suitable compared to other valleys, but you can wander around as you wish and daydream. Our current route is Avanos Suspension Bridge. First of all, when Avanos Suspension Bridge is mentioned, you may hear different names such as Wooden Bridge, Swinging Bridge. As you can understand from each name, the bridge's characteristic is that it shakes slightly as you walk on it. This situation may feel scary for some and fun for others. However, there is no such exaggerated swaying. The bridge is again located over the Kızılırmak River. It was built in 1973 and is allegedly the second suspension bridge in Turkey. Since the bridge is only open to pedestrians, you can walk on it swaying. Our current address is the world's first and only underground ceramic museum, GUİDE Museum. If you want to explore Avanos ceramics and pottery in more detail and up close, I recommend that you take the time. The museum serves with 2 sections, the Antique Works Hall and the Modern Works Hall, and a cultural center. In the Antique Works Hall, you can see ceramics and pottery works from the late Chalcolithic period, Bronze and Iron Ages, Hellenistic, Roman, Byzantine, Seljuk and Ottoman periods, as well as findings unearthed from the region. The Modern Works Hall displays the works of our world-famous ceramic artists. In addition to the 2 halls, there is a cultural center where you can see examples of different branches of art such as photography, painting and sculpture, and which hosts different exhibitions. We are on the 3rd day and another important point on our list of places to visit in Cappadocia is Ürgüp. This is a popular place that hosts the most important sightseeing spots in the region. We are going to Tümeni Hill, one of the most important places to see in the region. Tümeni Hill is a place you should see in Ürgüp, and even if you don't want to, you will definitely see it. Because it is right in the center of Ürgüp and is an 80-meter high rock hill that is impossible to miss. Tümeni Hill can be seen from everywhere in Ürgüp, without exaggeration. When you look from Tümeni Hill, you can see a very wide area including Ürgüp and even the surrounding area up to Mount Erciyes. If you are a view enthusiast, I recommend you to go up. The view is not the only feature of the hill. There are 2 tombs and graves belonging to important people on the hill. The tomb on the right after entering the hill, namely Kilikarslan Gatsi tomb, is where the story of the name of the hill is hidden. People tie rags to this tomb to make wishes, to express their wishes. The tomb in the middle of the hill used to be used as Tahsin Aga Public Library, but the library was later moved to a new building in the district center. Finally, there are the ruins of St. George Church on the southwest side. Our current address is Azmali Konak. Azmali Konak, which we know from the famous Azmali Konak series, is one of the biggest factors in Ürgüp becoming so popular. However, since there are 2 mansions where the series was filmed, there can be confusion. First of all, if you want to visit the mansion, which is also known as the Azmali Konak Museum today, you should go to the mansion in Ürgüp city center. For the other mansion, where fewer episodes of the series were filmed, turn your way to Ürgüp's cute town Mustafapaşa. You will easily find the mansion, which is now a hotel called the Old Greek House. We are heading to our last route in Ürgüp, the 3 Beauties. 3 fairy chimneys that stand out with their beauty worthy of their names among the fairy chimneys of Cappadocia. So how did these 3 stand out when everywhere is a fairy chimney and everywhere is a rock formation? First of all, their shapes are quite distinctive. These 3 are the fairy chimneys where the mushroom-capped form that comes to mind when fairy chimneys are mentioned is most clearly visible. For this reason, they have become both the symbol of Cappadocia and a point of photography for many tourists. There is also a legend about the 3 beauties. According to the legend, the daughter of the king of Cappadocia falls in love with a shepherd in the region and wants to get married. Although the king does not allow it, the princess and the shepherd marry and have a baby. The king sends soldiers to massacre the entire family, and when the princess starts praying to escape death, all 3 turn to stone. It is believed that the fairy chimney in the front of the 3 beauties is the shepherd, the one in the middle is the child, and the one in the back is the princess. If you want to see the 3 beauties, head towards Ürgüp from the Kızılkır Valley. You will definitely understand that you are in the right place from the crowd on the roadside. Ortahisa Castle. Let's continue to get to know the places to visit in Cappadocia with Ortahisa, one of the most enjoyable towns of Cappadocia, and the famous Ortahisa Castle. Ortahisa Castle is a giant rock formation rising up to 80 meters from the very center of Ortahisa. Apart from its view, the view offered by the castle from both above and below with the houses built along its slopes is eye-catching. The castle dating back to the Hittite period has been used as a natural shelter throughout history. You can visit the rooms, tunnels and corridors inside the castle. We go to Kızılkır Valley, which is in my opinion the most beautiful and enjoyable address for a sunset view in Cappadocia, right next to Ortahisa. Kızılkır Valley or Red Valley is full of red tough rocks, unlike the cream and stone-colored fairy chimneys. These red rocks turn even redder at sunset, and offer a completely different view with the colors of the sky. In addition to the perfect spots to watch the view, there is also a very enjoyable walking route. After passing through the tunnels and bumpy roads, Meskender Valley will greet you. At this point, let me remind you that it is useful to have a flashlight with you for the tunnels and to choose appropriate shoes and clothes. Moreover, during your journey, you can see structures such as churches, monasteries, especially the Hakli Church and Yüzümlü Church. As we come to the end of the third day, we are going to our new route, Uçhisar. While continuing with the places to visit in Uçhisar, the first place I want to mention is Uçhisar Castle. The castle is actually made up of two fairy chimneys. The large fairy chimney in the castle, which consists of two fairy chimneys combined, is called Çavuşin Castle, and the smaller one is called Çavuşin Castle. Uçhisar Castle is the largest fairy chimney in the region that can be seen from everywhere in Cappadocia. The summit of the castle is the best place where you can see the whole of Cappadocia from a bird's eye view and the only place where you can see Mount Ürgüp and Mount Hasan together. I especially recommend watching the sunset from the castle. Especially if you come across a day when the balloons take off, you can encounter an unforgettable view. Inside the castle, there are many rooms, tombs, cisterns, shelters, etc. carved into the rocks. If you are planning to visit Uçhisar Castle, keep in mind that you will need to make some effort to climb the castle. Although not many, a considerable staircase awaits you. Our next address is Güvercinlik Valley. Güvercinlik Valley is one of the most beautiful valleys of Cappadocia, decorated with fairy chimneys and extraordinary rock formations, and is the most preferred valley for outdoor sports such as trekking, cycling, and running. The valley starts from Uçhisar and continues for 4 kilometers to Göreme. As you can guess from its name, the valley has a sweet relationship with pigeons. In the past, the local people living here carved pigeon nests into the rocks for the pigeons. They fed the vineyards with the fertilizer they obtained from the birds living in the region, and used the eggs in the angles of the frescoes. Today, you will notice the density of pigeons in the region again. Our current routes are a bit far from the places we have mentioned so far and can also take up a day. One of them is Mustafapaşa. Mustafapaşa, or Sinasos as it was known in ancient times, is an old Greek village located 5 kilometers from Ürgüp. In fact, I have mentioned Mustafapaşa in several places I have covered in the guide. However, I wanted to mention it separately because it is a place that should be visited in order to discover the surroundings and witness the life of the local people. It was a place where Greeks lived until the 1924 Turkish-Greek population exchange. After the exchange, the Turkish population settled in the town and according to rumors, this population came from Mardin and Syria. The reason for this rumor is the architectural similarity. The dominant architecture in Mustafapaşa is quite similar to the architecture of Mardin. In the town, which used to have nearly 700 stone mansions, today there are almost 100 houses, nearly 30 churches and chapels. Places to visit in Mustafapaşa are Mehmet Sakırpasa Madrasa, St. Nicholas Monastery, Constantine Helena Church, St. Basil Chapel, Hidden Valley, Cappadocia Art and History Museum, Marasoglu Bridge and Azmali Konak. We are going to Gomeda Valley, which is located right next to Mustafapaşa. If you are interested in horror movies and mysterious legends, I definitely recommend that you add Gomeda Valley to your list of places to visit in Cappadocia. Gomeda Valley is located in Mustafapaşa town, which is 5 kilometers away from Ürgüp. Geomorphologically, it is a smaller version of Ihlara Valley. For this reason, it is also known as Little Ihlara Valley. Although Bay Creek flowing through the valley offers a lively atmosphere with its fruit trees and other aspects, it is also just as scary with its dark caves and apartment-looking rock cavities. However, the reason for this image is actually pigeons. These rock cavities, called pigeon houses, look like 6-story apartment buildings in some places and like castles in others. There are many churches in Gomeda Valley, some of which are so old that their names are unknown. Al-Kara Church and St. Basilio's Church are the most prominent among these churches. There is also an old underground city in the valley. If you want to visit the underground city, which has a very small entrance. It is a bit difficult because the tunnels and the entrance are quite narrow. I do not recommend you to try it if you have claustrophobia. Also, Güvercinlik Valley is located after Gomeda Valley. If you intend to continue on the hiking trail, you can also explore Güvercinlik Valley. At this point, you need to jump or enter the water in places. If you plan to hike, I recommend that you come prepared. Speaking of underground cities, let's talk about the Cappadocia underground cities close to Gomeda Valley. Matsi Underground City. Let's continue with the Cappadocia underground cities. Matsi Underground City, located in Matsi Village, known as Mataza in ancient times, has 8 floors and a capacity of approximately 6,000 people. The underground city has 4 entrances. The main entrance is provided through a corridor. Inside, there are different living spaces as well as a magnificent church. Derinkuyu Underground City. If you want to spend time on a single underground city in your Cappadocia Places to Visit program, you can take a look at Derinkuyu Underground City, which is considered the most popular underground city. Derinkuyu Underground City is located in Derinkuyu District, which is 30 kilometers away from Nevşehir and has almost 500 underground cities. According to what is known, the history of Derinkuyu dates back to Assyrian colonies. The 8-story underground city, which is large enough to accommodate almost 50,000 people, has everything a huge society can need to continue their lives. Houses, barns, warehouses, a missionary school, a confessional, a baptismal pool, wells and many more areas await you. Çamaklı Underground City. Çamaklı Underground City is another point as popular as Derinkuyu among the underground cities of Cappadocia. The history of the underground city, located in Çamaklı, 20 kilometers away from Nevşehir, dates back to 300 BC, the Hittite period. With the expansions in the Roman and Byzantine periods, it turned into an 8-story city where almost 5,000 people could live. Only 4 floors of the Çamaklı underground city can be visited. If you go down to the 4th floor, you will have gone 20 kilometers deep into the ground. Here again, you will see many formations related to a city, from rooms to wine warehouses, from kitchens to churches. Attention, you should be careful about the signs in all underground cities. Follow the red arrows when entering and the blue arrows when exiting. This way, you will not enter narrow or inaccessible tunnels. Özkonak Underground City. Özkonak Underground City, which is estimated to have been built by the Hittites in the 400s BC, is located in Özkonak town, 14 kilometers from Avanos. Özkonak Underground City, which is built on 4 floors, has stables on the ground floor and living areas such as rooms, living rooms and baby rooms as you go down to the lower floors. In addition to the rooms, there are also different sections such as wells, tombs and wine warehouses. The last part of the lowest floor is both scary and intriguing. The section built as a prison is reached through a tunnel that can only fit 1 person. Let's not forget to mention the features that make the Özkonak underground city different from other Cappadocia underground cities. The Özkonak underground city was built with long and narrow holes that provided communication between the floors as a defense strategy. While hiding from the enemy, communication and air exchange were provided through these holes. Another difference is the hunting holes in the bolt stones. Holes were opened in the bolt stones used as doors to prevent the enemy's entrance and designed to throw arrows, spears or pour hot oil. If you have more time in Cappadocia, you can definitely add Ihlara Valley to your list of places to visit in Cappadocia. Ihlara Valley is affiliated with Güvercinlik district of Aksaray province. There are 105 religious structures in the valley, including churches, monasteries and underground churches carved into the rocks. If you do not have a vehicle, you can prefer tours or take a bus to Accommodation and then to Ihlara Valley. The journey does not end after you reach Ihlara Valley. 382 steps await you to go down to the valley. The valley is 14 kilometers long from Ihlara village to Saline, but touristic tours generally end the journey in Belisarma village, 6 kilometers after reaching Saline. Of course, this part is up to you. You can walk as much as you want along the Melendez stream passing through the middle of the valley. If you plan to walk to the end, it takes about 5 hours. How to get to places to visit in Cappadocia? First of all, do not let the number of prominent regions worry you about transportation. Although they are separate regions, each one is actually close to each other. Therefore, transportation in Cappadocia is not problematic. There are minibuses, shared taxis and taxis. Although all of them provide transportation between regions, you may experience problems in terms of travel times and comfort. My recommendation for transportation to places to visit in Cappadocia is definitely a personal vehicle. If you have the opportunity, I recommend that you go with your own vehicle or look at car rental alternatives in Cappadocia. In this way, you can reach wherever you want, whenever you want. There are many places to visit, and Cappadocia is a large area in terms of surface area. In other words, traveling by vehicle will provide a great advantage in terms of time and comfort. When you consider activities such as watching balloons at sunrise and visiting valleys at sunset, a personal vehicle becomes a great savior in planning. What to eat in Cappadocia? Let me warn you from the beginning, Cappadocia is as fascinating with its places to visit as it is appetizing with its flavors. So be prepared to eat a lot of things during your trip. So what to eat in Cappadocia? What are the local flavors of Cappadocia? Let's take a look. Testi kebab, sak tava, apricot stew, nohutla stew, dugas soup, quince dolma, onion dolma, kamlek beans, zerdali pilaf, and for dessert, dolaz kofter, kuru kaymak are regional flavors that you should definitely try. When to go to Cappadocia? Cappadocia has 4 seasons. In other words, this is such a geography that you see a different face every time you go, and have a different experience every time. Therefore, our advice is to make a choice according to what kind of holiday you want to spend in Cappadocia. Choose the summer months when the weather conditions are most suitable for balloon rides. For many other activities such as nature walks, ATV and cycling, you can choose the summer and spring periods when the weather is nice, the summer months if you want to coincide with festivals, and the winter months if you aim for a romantic holiday under the snow. Cappadocia's snowy state is something else, something beautiful. The dazzling landscapes look much more magnificent with snow, you literally feel like you are in a different world. If you want a dreamy white Cappadocia, you can plan a winter holiday in Cappadocia, taking into account the minus temperatures. If you ask how many days should we stay in Cappadocia, I recommend staying at least 3 days if you want to visit Cappadocia fully and enjoy it. Hotel, holiday home or villa preferences in Cappadocia. The most important thing to consider when choosing a hotel or rental house in Cappadocia is the location. Because Cappadocia covers a very large area. Therefore, you need to determine your accommodation very strategically. You do not want to be far from the places you want to go. The best areas to choose a hotel are Avanos, Uçhisar, Göreme, Ortahisa and Ürgüp. Unfortunately, Nevşehir Center is very far away. Especially Uçhisar is quite reasonable both because it is not very touristic like Göreme and because of its location and price. We have come to the end of another travel video. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more content. See you in the next video. Goodbye.